Oh.
Zachary counts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I just went with it, so we're live now.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday's episode of Student of the Gun Radio. What are we going to talk about today? Ruger American Rifle. And we're talking about that. We've got a Brownell's Bullet Points for you. We're going to have a live reading. Yes, a live reading from the new book, Sin City, the Operator Book 2, by our good friend, a friend of Student of the Gun, Nicholas Orr.
Like you're going to do a live palm reading?
No, not that, a live reading. And then we're going to talk about, during our Student of the Gun homeroom, snaps and straps. And where are they, and why are they, and what's up with modern holsters? Because apparently there is a bit of confusion. There's a bit of confusion out there. People don't seem to understand what's going on. So we're going to address that, all that and more, right after Zach plays the introduction music.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
All right. So today we're going to talk about a bunch of hardware and things that should make you happy. On Monday, we went a whole hour. We went a full hour on Monday's episode. So you're welcome. I hope you guys appreciated that. If you didn't listen to Monday's episode for some strange, bizarre reason, just go back and do that. It's episode number 978, The Gray Man and the New Neighborhood Watch. That might be one of those that becomes a best of, quite frankly. It might be one of those that becomes a best of. And we debuted our new pajama party.
A pajama party.
Which
yes,
is,
indeed.
which as of the time you're hearing this, if you're in the grad program, again, by the time this goes out, not live, but when you're in the grad program, you will be able to download that song and enter the pimp hand through the student lounge. Isn't that right, Jared? Question mark.
No way.
Yes,
Wait, am I supposed to do that, or are you doing that?
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if that was one of those things. It was like you started working on it during the episode. But yeah, I can do that. I can have that set up, and by the time this goes out on Wednesday, if you are a member of the grad program, you'll be able to go into the the student lounge and download it for yourself and put it on your phone and make it your ringtone. Do whatever you want. We don't care. Listen to it. Enjoy it.
Ooh.
And thank our good friend Michael Cates for making that for us.
Yes.
Yeah. This is exclusive Student of the Gun music that you may not have heard of yet. If you're sitting out there, you're relatively new or whatever, you're like, what is this guy talking about? We're going to give you a sample of the Enter the Pimp Hand in a little while. All right, so right now, let's go ahead and dive into...
Wait, I need to make an announcement. I got an email the other day from Amazon. You want to know what it was?
What was it?
It said new from Paul Markle. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I opened the email and I realized that because I am actually following Paul Markle's author page on Amazon, that I received an email that said, hey, he just released a new book and you might be interested in it. So what I recommend you do is go to the show notes. There's an Amazon link in there that's right under where it says follow Paul Markle's Amazon author page. You click on that link and it'll take you directly to an author page that shows all the books, which have you looked at your author page, Dad?
Yeah.
There are books at the end of it that are German, and I believe that you did not write them, but it says
no,
Markle was the author.
Yeah.
There's some older ones in here too, man.
Are not me.
Well, there's the Have Passport Will Travel. That is you.
That's out of print.
But
I can't believe they got a $24 version of that.
I know. And then there's the original Patriot Fire Team,
the black book.
preserving the black one that's $53.99. If you're listening to this, I would highly recommend that you do not get that one. Get the Patriot Fire Team manual.
Yeah.
Which is not in this for some reason. But
why isn't it?
Because the author on that is Paul G. Markle.
G is in gangster. That's right.
So need to get with Amazon and have them up.
Well, here's the thing, though. Look at Paul Markle.
Dude, I forgot you did this grid down survival guide thing.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That was one of those things where it was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Now, the black book on mine says that there's a copy available for $864.56.
Oh, I can get one for $53.99.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only one that I've got, it says only one left in stock for $864, and the author gets nothing from that because it's a used book.
Yep.
So don't give.
There you go.
Don't
So
do
go to the show notes, click on that Amazon link, follow Paul Markle, the author. There's a little button underneath his picture, and it says follow. Click that button, and you will be following, and Amazon will update you when new books are released.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, and Jared, to tell you the truth, I don't know why that it says that regarding because if you look at the Patriot Fire Team Equipment Guide, it says by Paul G. Markle.
No, it says by Paul Markle.
See, on mine, it says Paul G.
That's weird.
On my screen, it says Paul G. Markle. So I don't know. I don't know why that's like that. But
we'll just have to get a hold of Amazon and say, hey, guys.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, wow. The equipment guide is on sale right now on Kindle. I highly recommend you guys go buy it.
There you go. All right. What else? I got to get back to my show notes. My show notes say that it's time for us to do a Brownell's Bullet Points of the Week. Boom. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This is the Brownell's Bullet Points of the Week. What are we going to talk about today? I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. And it wasn't my first time using one of these rifles, but it was probably my first time using two of their rifles at the same time, I guess you could say. Ruger has been making what they've been calling the American rifle for a while. It's not a new thing. But they recently created an offshoot branch of the Ruger rifle line called the Ranch rifle line. If you go to Ruger.com, excuse me, I had a little hiccup there. If you go to Ruger.com, you click on rifles, you click bolt action rifles, and what do they got? They have the precision line, and then they have the American line. And if you go to the American lineup, you'll see they're like, wow, they've got one that's called the Standard, one that's called the Predator, one that's called the Ranch. They've got a Vortex version, a compact version, a Hunter version. Well, the one we want to focus on is the Ranch line. And the Ranch line of rifles, they have 16-inch barrels, so they're compact, which is a good thing. And they come in a variety of calibers. You can get them in 450 Bushmaster, 350 Legend, 300 Blackout, the 7.62 by 39. But you can also get them in 5.56 NATO, and that is the one that we want to focus on. When the Sierra Bullet guys were here, you guys know about a month or so ago, we did an interview with the guys from Sierra Bullets, and we had a good time with those guys. We went out and shot some prairie dogs and some rock chucks, and it was a good experience for everybody. Well, I mentioned that the rifles that we were able to use were donated, were loaned to us by Ruger. Now, we had the Ranch rifle versions in 223, and we had the what was it? It was a 22-250, but it wasn't a Ranch rifle. It was what they call their standard configuration, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the rifle that I used was the Ranch one. There's a couple different days, and I was really impressed by that. I was impressed by the rifle, and I thought to myself, I should get one of these. So on the first day, I used the 22-250, the green synthetic stock called the Predator. And on the second day, I used the Ranch rifle. What is neat about the Ruger 5.56, and it actually says not 223, the barrel says 5.56. And you say, well, big deal, it's the exact same cartridge. Not really. Number one, they used a polymer stock, which means they brought the overall price of the gun has gone down. They have a threaded barrel. The barrel comes with a thread cap, but it's half by 28, which is standard American 223 5.56. So any 5.56 223 accessories, muzzle accessories will go on there, such as a barking spider. But of course, the main reason they did that is so you can put a can on it, so you can put a suppressor, a moderator, a gun muffler on it. So that is a good thing. It only has a 16-inch barrel, which is a good thing because if you're going to put a muffler on there, the muffler is going to increase the length of the barrel by anywhere from 4 to 6 to 7 inches, right? So if you start out with a 20-inch barrel, you put a 6 or 7-inch can on it, or an 8-inch can even, and now you've got this massive, long, almost unwieldy barrel. So that was a smart thing on their part, making they're nice and handy. Every Ruger Ranch rifle comes with a pre-mounted or a pre-installed Picatinny rail on the receiver. And what does that mean? Well, what that means is all you have to do is basically decide what kind of scope you want, and figure your scope, whether it's an inch scope or a 30 millimeter scope or a 34 millimeter scope. You don't
what
really
does that mean? What measurement are you giving right there?
The diameter of the scope.
Of the scope,
scope
like where the glass
diameter.
is?
No, the tube.
The tube in the middle.
The tube.
Okay.
Yeah. So your basic choices in the United States today are a 1-inch tube, which is pretty standard, a 30 millimeter tube, which is a little more expensive, or a 34 millimeter tube, which is your really long range glass. I'm going to go ahead and hip you to something. If you have the 5.56 version of the Ranch rifle with a 16-inch barrel, you don't really need a 34-inch or a 34 millimeter tube. This is not a 1,000-yard gun. All right. It's not a 1,000-yard gun. It's not even an 800-yard gun. This is a 50 to 500-yard gun. Okay. So,
but I could ping steel at 800 with it.
I'm sure you can. You could probably shoot a mile with it. But they all come with a Picatinny rail, which means that you just need to figure out what your scope diameter is, what your tube diameter is, inch, 30, whatever, and then get Picatinny / Weaver style basis for that. So,
when I was actually researching scope rings for my 260 Remington scope, it's a Bushnell that's on there, and it seemed to me that 30 millimeter is kind of like the standard, and most people do 30 millimeter. Is that true?
Yes and no. 30 millimeter gives you a little bit more adjustability from a 1-inch scope. 1-inch scopes, it depends on how much you're going to spend. If you're going to spend $500, $600, $800, $1,000 on a scope, it's probably going to be a 30 millimeter scope. If you are going to spend $179, $199, $218 on a scope, also, does it have external adjustment knobs or does it have internal knobs with caps? Is it one of the ones where you just put the caps back on and leave it alone? Or does it have external adjustments? Most of your external adjustment scopes are 30 millimeter. Not all, but most. And a large number of your recessed adjustments, the ones that you put a nickel or a case head or whatever, and you take it off, and it's got a little slot, and you put a penny in there, and you adjust it with a penny, and you put the cap back on. You set it for 100, put the cap back on, you're good, and you never adjust it again. Most of those are 1-inch tubes. And then your super long range stuff, there's actually a company now that's making a 35 millimeter tube. I think Loophole has a 35 millimeter tube, and Night Force might have. But regardless, we don't want to talk about that. The point is, all you have to do is find scope rings that have a Picatinny / Weaver base, and you can put them on your Ruger Range rifle. What other features does it have besides the threaded muzzle? It actually has a free-floated barrel. The barrel is free-floated into the stock, so the stock isn't touching it. And you say, does that make a difference? Yes, it does. It has the very nice Ruger, the new Ruger trigger. That's a 2-piece trigger that they kind of borrowed from Savage way back when. The one thing about the Ruger rifles, especially the 5.56 version, that is super smart, probably one of the smartest things they did, was they went ahead and made it compatible with AR magazines. So it's not a dedicated Ruger rifle magazine. Like some of their rifles, the magazines are dedicated to that gun, and you have to buy it from them, and that's the end of that story, and we're not going to talk about it anymore. But with the Ranch rifle, especially the 5.56 one, it takes all standard AR mags. Now, it comes with a Magpul 10-round detachable magazine, and it actually has a release button on the right side of the gun. You say, well, what's the big deal with that? Well, the big deal is that means you can get magazines anywhere. Every store that sells guns sells AR magazines. Can we all agree on that, right? There's never going to be a time where you're like, you might have a Savage rifle or a Remington rifle or a Mossberg or Ruger or whatever with a dedicated magazine, and if you lose that magazine or it goes bad, you're kind of screwed, right? You either have to send away for a new one, or you have to hope that your store is big enough to stock those. But let's face facts. How many stores will stock all those different specifically dedicated magazines for Savages and Mossberg? Most of them don't, but they all stock AR mags. So, and I would never buy a 10-round AR mag just by itself. I would never deliberately just go out and buy a 10-round AR mag because, well, I wouldn't put one in a semi-automatic gun. But in a bolt-action gun, it's great. And it's also low enough. It sits low enough in the gun that when you want to get down in a prone or you want to get into a supported resting position, a 30-round magazine sticking out of one of these rifles is going to look like a syphilitic pecker in a freaking men's locker room. It's going to stand out, you really don't need it. But the 10-round magazines from Magpul work great. They work fantastically well. I was really impressed by it. It has where can you buy these? Well, good luck. People are like, well, where can I buy one? Get online and start searching. Do I have to tell you that right now in the United States of America, everything is going fast? Do I have to tell you that? Guns.com. Go to guns.com or gunbroker.com or brownells.com or, whatever. How accurate is it? That's a good question. People are like, how accurate is it? Well, I tell you what, that barrel is more accurate than 99% of you guys out there.
Yeah, I was about to say,
your trigger finger.
I saw your group that you shot, and it was, what was it, a point, probably 4?
It was a quarter inch.
A quarter inch, yeah, so 0.25 MOA.
Maybe a little bigger than that. I mean, 2 of the rounds were touching and 1 wasn't. Oh. And let me tell you how I did that. I actually
Oh, go ahead.
No, I went up and I wanted to make sure it was 0 because I want to take it out in the field and actually shoot something with it. So I put it in the sandbag rest, and I took the bolt out and I stabilized it, and I used that green target, the green steel target at 100 yards.
Yep.
What I did was I lined the scope up on that, and then I looked through the barrel and looked directly down the bore, and I saw that the bore wasn't aligned. So I made the adjustment. I made the rough adjustment so that I could look down the bore and do it. I put 1 round on paper. It was within 2 inches. I made the adjustment, fired 1 more shot, and made 1 more adjustment, and then I fired 3 shots. So I fired 5 shots total and had my 0, took the gun, and went. So the guns are accurate. The barrel making today, the technology for barrel manufacturing we're pretty much at the zenith right now. You can buy and these guns they retail for like the MSRP I think is $549, but that's MSRP. The only place you're going to pay MSRP is like Cabela's or Bass Pro. Everywhere else on planet Earth, you're going to spend around $469, $470, something like that. Less than $500 for this gun. It has a polymer stock, like I said, and so it's relatively lightweight. It comes with a Picatinny rail. It's bolt action. It has a tang mounted thumb safety, so it's ambidextrous. What other features does it have? Oh, it has the Ruger trigger. And people said, well, how do you adjust it? And I was like, well, first of all, I wouldn't. I personally would not get in and screw with that trigger because it's set just fine. With the factory setting, I've been able to shoot pop bottle sized prairie dogs at 157 yards, 182 yards, whatever, and hit them with a 9-power scope. So, yeah. Can you adjust it? I'm going to look on the spec sheet. I don't know if it can be adjusted by you. Crisp, clean, weight. It's user adjustable. Okay. It says it's user adjustable. So the answer is yes, it is user adjustable. I have not adjusted mine because I didn't feel the need to. But if you really, really, really have to do that, then I guess you can. Basically, you just have to take the gun out of the stock, and I'm assuming that there's an Allen screw in there that you use to adjust it. I did put a can on mine. I put a Surefire 5.56 muzzle brake.
A compensator?
Gun muffler. Yeah, gun muffler on mine. And, yeah, you still get the supersonic crack from the 5.56 bullet, but the boom, the noisy, annoying 223 boom is not there. So, and I'm just starting. I mean, literally, I picked this gun up from my local gun shop 3 days ago as we record this, and I went out to the range. I haven't finalized the scope on it, I guess you could say. I took a scope off of another gun. I'm going to order a scope that's going to be dedicated for this gun. I don't have it yet because that's the way the world is. But so I took another one and I threw it on there. And it's a 3x9 scope. It's the one I've had for a long time. So I threw that on there. But yeah, the accuracy is fine. I went out, actually, I was calling for coyotes, but none of them had the god darn common courtesy to call back. So yeah, right now I'm at the very beginning of my review of this Ruger American Ranch rifle, and obviously I'm going to put the ammunition that I put through it, and I shot that really super tight group was it was a 69 grain Match King from Black Hills. So, I mean, obviously you expect good things from that. And what I'm going to do is I'll be trying different ammo. I'll do the ball, 55 grain ball, and probably some of the Sierra and what have you, and in the detailed review, which will be coming in the very near future. Indeed. So there you go. That's,
I said indeed, and we've actually got what I'll call a resident gunsmith on tap. If you guys have any questions about like how to adjust the trigger in your Ruger American rifle, for instance, or anything that has to do with long-range precision rifles, we've got a gentleman named Ben Voltmer who is he owns Patriot Firearms Customs, and he actually built us a rifle and sent it up, and we're still in the process of testing that as well. So if you have any questions that you need to ask to a gunsmith, then we can put you in contact with Mr. Voltmer.
There you go. All right, Zach, let's give them a little sample of Enter the Pimp Hand. We haven't talked about Enter the Pimp Hand in a while.
Oh, okay. One moment.
All right. Yeah. So as you guys, on Monday, we gave you a sample of the pajama party theme. And today we're going to give you a little sample of the Enter the Pimp Hand. So it's been a while since we played it, so it's more than time. There you go. That's just a little sample of the music Enter the Pimp Hand. That and the Pajama Party theme are available, or they will be available to the grad program members as downloads. Put them on your phone, listen to them while you're driving, do whatever you want, make it your ringtone.
If you're listening to this today, not live stream, but after it has gone out officially, it is available today.
If you're listening to it on 8/19/20.
Bingo. Or after that.
Or anytime after that. All right. All right, let's talk about Duracoat, because life is too short to
have an ugly gun.
Have an ugly gun. Duracoat Firearm Finishes has an upgraded website. If you haven't checked them out lately, check them out. I should also remind you that with the Brownells bullet points, sign up for their newsletter so that way you actually know when things are in stock. You're sitting down with your morning coffee and you open up your emails and it says, ping, Brownells is running a special day. There you go. And I would say morning coffee is probably the best time to do that, because if you wait until the afternoon, I've noticed that in the morning, things will be on sale. And then in the afternoon, things are out of stock. The thing that was on sale is now out of stock. It's amazing how that works. You're like, how did that work? Because everybody else in the world saw that it was on sale and bought it. Just saying. So, but check out Duracoat Firearm Finishes, and don't have an ugly gun, man. There's just really no reason to. Would you say that is the truth?
I would say that is absolutely true.
That is the truth. All right, Zach, you've got a little bit of something to say to the audience members at home, don't you?
ShopSOTG.com is the perfect place to go if you are a student of the gun. Whether you want to expand your brain, increase your marksmanship, or help keep your family safe. All that, plus the pimp hand brands that you love. ShopSOTG.com has almost anything that an American patriot would want. Education, enlightenment, and entertainment, and we're open 24/7. Check out ShopSOTG.com today and see for yourself.
Yes, indeed. We've got a little treat for you guys today. You guys didn't even know you were going to get this treat. Our good friend Nicholas Orr, the author of the Operator series. He did the first book was just called The Operator. And then his second book is called Sin City, The Operator Book 2. Both of those are available as Kindle versions and paperback versions right now on Amazon. And he asked me, he said, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you go ahead and read a little bit to your audience and remind them that the new book is out? You guys were out there screaming after the original Operator book came out that you wanted the sequel. Well, the sequel's there. And if you'd like some, I guess, let me see. Was this action, adventure, romantic adventure romance? There's a little bit of romance in it. There's a lot of adventure in it, some action. It's got a little something for everybody, something for men and for women. So chapter 1 begins as such. This is Sin City, The Operator, Book 2 by Nicholas Orr. And this is a live reading from me, Paul Markle. Chapter 1. Thomas Thrasher reached up with his left hand and adjusted the parallax knob on the left side of the Leupold 25 power rifle scope. The image that Tommy was concerned with sharpened and came into focus. This piece of Leupold glass, sniper slang for optical rifle scope, was not cheap. As a matter of fact, the scope actually cost more than the bolt-action rifle onto which it was mounted. Thrasher chuckled to himself a bit. So many gun people he knew were more concerned with finding a bargain when it came to putting a scope on a rifle. The Marine Corps trained marksman understood all too well that the glass on the rifle was as important as the rifle itself when it came to putting rounds on target with absolute precision. Cheap glass is cheap crap, Thrasher's primary marksmanship instructor had said to the entire class when Tommy went through the USMC designated marksman training. The gunnery sergeant in question had admonished his students, it doesn't matter how good of a job the gunsmith did building your rifle. If your glass is crap, you're wasting your time and the Corps' ammunition. In the Marine Corps, you used whatever equipment you were issued and did not have a choice. When it came time for Thrasher to put down his own hard-earned cash and put together a precision rifle, he remembered the advice the gunny had given him so many years earlier. According to the laser rangefinder, the window of the building that Thrasher was currently surveilling was 257 yards from his current position. For a well-trained marksmanship with quality gear, 257 yards was a chip shot, a short putt on a flat green. The subject of Thrasher's attention, Robert Bobby Sullivan, had moved from behind his desk and was standing near his office window looking out at the streets of Las Vegas below. Sullivan was certainly not the only organized crime leader in Vegas, but he ranked among the top 5 to include the Latino and Asian gangsters. Tommy had discovered through research that there was not really a single kingpin or top gangster in Las Vegas. The current crime situation in Sin City was rather tribal, that is, multiple chiefs generally honoring each other's territory. And that is just the beginning of the book, The Sin City, The Operator, Book 2, just a portion of Chapter 1 there for you guys. Like I said, this book is available right now on Amazon as a Kindle version or as a paperback version. If you're a fan of fiction, or if you're looking for some fiction to distract you from all the bull crap that is going on in the United States and the world today, if you want to take a break and get a little bit of mind candy, we highly recommend this book, Sin City, The Operator, Book 2 from Nicholas Orr. And if you don't believe me, go to Amazon and read some of the reviews from your peers. There you go. All right, what do we got? We've got a Student of the Gun Homeroom brought to you by CrossbreedHolsters.com. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Student of the Gun Homeroom. And what is the theme of our homeroom? Being dangerous on demand, right? You're dangerous on demand by actually carrying a gun on your body, having it attached to you all the time. No excuses. If you want to do that, use the promo code SOTG18, crossbreedholsters.com. All right, before I begin, boys, is there anything you guys wanted to say about the homeroom or about Crossbreed?
They're great and awesome, and they have the chest rig out, and you should go pre-order it.
That's right. They're great and they're awesome. They're great.
I was spoiled from the time that I started carrying a gun. And I actually got asked a question when I was on somebody's podcast about a month ago. It's like, hey, do you have a bin full of holsters and stuff like most gun carriers do? I said, actually, I do, but it's a lot smaller than most because I didn't have to go through the selection process. So I was able to pretty much start carrying with a comfortable inside the waistband holster, and that was a Super Tuck from Crossbreed. However, I've tried other holsters throughout the years because I wanted to know, like when somebody comes and asks me what holster I carry and why I carry it, then I don't say to them, well, I carry the Crossbreed because it's the only one I've ever carried. I've carried other holsters, and I have come back to I carry the Reckoning now. It's the Crossbreed. It's inside the waistband, or you can set it up to carry outside the waistband. But I've come back to the Crossbreed Reckoning because it is the most comfortable holster, and I carry appendix, and I'm not a skinny dude. I've got a gut on me, a little bit of a gut. So those of you that have thought about appendix carry but think you might be a little bit too big for it, give the Reckoning a try. It's comfortable and it works.
Yeah, and in my personal experience, and I'm 30 years ahead of Jared on this experience, was that I was never able to find an inside of the waistband holster that I liked, that I could wear for more than an hour or two. I tried for years. I mean, for years and years and years, I tried different, the Milt Sparks and the Bianchi and the this and the that. I tried all these different inside of the waistband holsters, and I could never find one that I really could just put on in the morning and leave on all day long, just take it off at night. I always found myself wanting to after an hour or two, adjust the gun, pull it forward, push it backwards, and it always felt like it was like a burden. And so I just basically, when I met Mark Craighead about 10 years ago or so, I had just given up. I just given up on an inside the waistband holster. I was like, dude, I've tried so many inside the waistband holsters. They just don't work. And I see people, because we live in Wyoming now. Obviously, I live in Wyoming. You guys know that. And Wyoming is a constitutional carry state, which means you can carry it concealed or not concealed, do whatever you want. And I see these guys walking around, unfortunately, with these stitched nylon holsters with the straps over the top of them and so forth. And the truth of the matter is that is 50-year-old technology. And I understand with our gun culture and our gun community, it takes a long time for people to embrace a new idea. But the fact of the matter is, a molded polymer holster or a hybrid holster like Mark Craighead designed originally with the Super Tuck Deluxe is not really, you can't really say, wow, that's a new fangled fashion. No, we're going on 10, 11 plus years. It's been a while. It's proven. It's a proven design. But it doesn't have snaps and straps on it. And somebody recently said, I would never carry a holster that doesn't have an active retention system like a snap or a retention strap or whatever. I would never, ever, 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 ever do that. And do you know why holsters 30 years ago, 20 years ago, or even some today had to have snaps and straps on them? Well, I'm not talking about duty holsters. I'm not talking about your police officer or duty holster. I'm talking about your average person, because they weren't molded and they weren't designed, most of them, for that specific gun. Now, they might have been designed for a 1911 or a double action revolver or whatever. But let's be honest. Most of these strap snap holsters weren't really hardcore molded for that specific gun. Most of them, a lot of them were the classic Uncle Mike's size 1. You're like, what is size 1? Oh, size 1 will fit all these guns, all the following guns. A size 4 will fit medium framed autos. A size 5 will fit large framed revolvers. And I'm just pulling this out of my butt, but essentially, the gun wasn't snugly fit in that holster. So you had to have a snap strap system to keep it in place. Otherwise, it was loose, right? When you buy a holster, a modern holster, and it's not just Crossbreed. Crossbreed's not the only one that does it. When you buy these modern holsters, for instance, Jared, the Reckoning, your Reckoning has a what on it? As a tension adjustment.
Yep.
Yeah. So not only is it molded specifically for your Glock 19, but it also, in addition to that, has an adjustable tension system as well. And that adjustable tension system actually puts tension on the trigger guard. So people out there are like, I've never, da, 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 da. It's like, okay, I get it. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying here. But the fact is, you can't compare something that's made in 2020 to a design that came out in 1968 or 1974 or even 1981 or 82, whatever. But that's what I see people doing. People are like, oh, if it was good enough for Milt Sparks, it's good enough for me. Or if it was good enough for, whatever. Quite frankly, if you look at some of the old stuff, it's pretty antiquated. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a lagniappe here. Jared, what was one of the major reasons or issues with negligent discharges with the old style holsters?
Just in general holsters, you mean?
Yeah, with the old style snap and strap holsters.
Oh, they would they would kind of get old and they would get into the trigger guard.
Well, the snaps and straps would.
Yeah. Oh, even if they were new?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, well, I'll give you a good for instance. These modern one size fits nothing stitch nylon holsters. You pull the gun out, and it has the snappy thing or the strappy thing. And if you just try and reflexively shove that sucker back in, what has happened multiple times is the snap strap device gets into the trigger guard. I've seen multiple after action situations where the snaps and straps got into the trigger guard. You're like, oh no, that's never. I've had one for a million years, and okay, whatever. But here's the reality of the situation: people rushing to put their guns back in their holster. Now, clothing and jackets and stuff too, but the snaps and straps. So what people do is they're like, well, I know that's a problem, so I have to clear that away from the holster before I put the gun back in it. And Jared, how do people clear that stuff away from the holster?
Pointing the gun with their muzzle.
They use their other hand.
Yeah.
So now what you've got is you've got a guy with a hot loaded gun in his hand, in his right hand, and they take their left hand and they reach over and they grab and they pull away the stuff, and then they take the loaded gun and bring it over, and you say, oh, well, I'm super cautious and I never ever muzzle my other hand or whatever. I've seen it so many times. People are like, if you ever feel the need, if you have a holster that makes you take your other hand over and open it up, if you're opening up your holster with your support hand so you can put your hot loaded gun in that's a bad holster. You made a bad choice. That is a bad decision. If you've got a holster that requires two hands to get the gun back into it, that is an instant no-go. That is an instant no-go right there. Because this hand or your support hand, when you're putting the gun away or when you're coming out, either way, should be nowhere near the muzzle of that gun. And this is, Jared, you know what somebody just said? Some old guy just said?
What?
That's why I keep the chamber empty.
You know, it's funny. I was on the phone with a dude from Israel yesterday, and he's like, you know, that stupid thing that people call Israeli carry, and I was like, yeah. He's like, that's stupid, and I don't know why you do that. I'm like, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, well, I can tell you why, because it's in all their books, and it's official protocol.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. Everybody has to go to the army. It's kind of like here where people learn the thing in the military and then they carry it through their entire life. Like that's the gospel and that's correct and it can't be changed. He said it was essentially the same thing. That's what you're taught because in Israel, everybody has to join the army and they're 18 years old or whatever. And so they assume that the people are going to be dangerous with guns. And so they make them carry without one in the chamber.
Right. And they do that with rifles and pistols. Yeah. They have this, the Israelis, they have this special funky empty gun thing that they do and whatever. I don't want to get into that, but I know that there's at least one person out there. They're like, well, my holster, I use my left hand, but it's okay because I don't chamber around and that makes the gun safer. Yeah. Okay. So snaps and straps and all those things. If you're concealing a gun, if you're wearing a personal defense tool on your body, and you really, 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 really have to have a retention device, okay, great. But you just need to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, not just default because, well, it was good enough for enter name here, it was good enough for Bill Jordan, it's good enough for me, The fact of the matter is the modern holsters with the polymer design or the hybrid design, and that one of the great things about the leather hybrid design from Crossbreed is that after you wear the gun it actually conforms not just the polymer, not just the Kydex, but the leather itself actually conforms to the gun. So it fits extremely well. Yeah. So ladies and gentlemen, before you get all If you're out there and you're getting all bunged up, you're like, I would buy one, but they don't have an active retention system. They don't have a strap system or whatever. There's a reason that they got away from that. And then there's also a reason that we use the hard holsters, not soft. We don't put, and brothers, I love all of you. If someone tries to sell you a soft inside of the waistband holster that collapses every time you pull the gun out, that person does not like you, and they're not doing you a favor. Remember that we had that experience here? Someone showed up
every time you have to,
and they realized, that they were like trying to forcibly hard shove the gun into their holster every time. It's like you're just begging for trouble. You're begging for trouble. Kind of like optics, like our friend Nicholas Orr wrote in that book. If you buy, you go out and you buy, let's say, the new Glock, whatever it is, a 43, 48, 45, whatever. You buy a new Glock and you're super proud of it. You spend $579 for it, or $529 or $499, whatever. And then you go bargain shopping and you're trying to buy a holster for less than $20. You're not serious about what you're doing. Okay. A $527 gun deserves more than a $19 holster. Can we be honest with each other? Stop bar. And if you're serious about carrying a gun every day, buy a good quality piece of gear. I mean, if you're not going to do it, then this is a moot point anyway. You're not going to be dangerous on demand. If you're just buying guns to stick in your safe to brag about to your buddies and you're not carrying them, you're not dangerous on demand. So just forget everything we just said. Just forget all that other stuff. And if you don't feel confident in carrying a gun with a loaded chamber, you don't feel confident carrying a gun on your body, do you know why you don't feel confident? Because you don't have training. You don't have experience. Get a crowbar out, pry open your wallet, and get your butt into a training school. And then after you do that, get your butt into another training school, and pretty soon you'll have this thing called confidence in your own ability and your gear. So, all right, that's all I've got to say today. Does that sound good to you, Zach?
That sounds pretty awesome to me. I don't know about you.
Okay. Jared,
well, he said it, so it's got to sound good, right? Yeah, I just want to remind you guys that are watching, the horsehide is the best option for the crossbreed holster. If you're going to go there, if you're going to go to crossbreedholsters.com and you're going to buy a horsehide holster, use the promo code SOTG18, and it's essentially, you still have to choose the option of the horsehide, but it's essentially getting the horsehide upgrade for free.
There you go. Because we like you guys. We're always trying to help you out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.